Well, what a morning. And mostly because we, as I said yesterday, lovingly spent the weekend trying to put together a new single dongle, that would allow us to bring you a decent picture without the mishmash that our critics have said unwatchable, Keith, unwatchable. Well, I've tried several things this morning because I'm on my own, and it was a good chance to do a bit of an experiment. And I asked your forbearance, and it does seem, because I've been down to YouTube and I've checked, it does seem that we got it right at long last. The picture looks great. Yesterday it was stuttering and starting in the studio, but when I checked back, the programs were fine. So we seem to have cracked it. One or two little things need sorting, which I'll attempt to do today. And then we should be back on track and not have programs with interruption. And tomorrow we've got a decent set of programs for you. We're going to introduce Dr. Mark Maybe, who is a well-known educator, an innovator, and he is going to start a series very shortly, along with Suzanne Mucho, which takes a look at adult education. But don't expect anything normal from Mirador. They're not going to bore the pants off you. It will be a very lively and fresh and different approach to the whole thing. But that's tomorrow, and of course John Henty will be along. But also tomorrow we're going to be broadcasting from Clevedown, which is a sheltered housing project on the edge of Lewis, and we thought let's give the old folks a chance to pop in and say hello, because they certainly can't get down here. But so we'll be on site there. Maybe some of them will, maybe some of them won't. We've got to broadcast anyway, so we might as well do it from there, and we'll make sure that they get an opportunity to say hello to their friends, their family. If one of them want to sing or dance or whatever, they'd be more than welcome to do it. So it'll be a bit of fun tomorrow. So that's that, and it was worthwhile trying to get things sorted today. And it looks as if perhaps with a little bit more tweaking, as we got there. Now, as those of you who are regular viewers know, we have a very close relationship with the United States, and so we should, because if you look at the roof that's over my head, it was also over the head of Tom Paine. Now, in this part of the world, Tom Paine is very well known. In much of the world, it's not, and yet it should be, because he is the man who triggered the American War of Independence. He is the man that named the United States the United States. He is the man who named the House of Commons the House of Commons. He is the man who took on the king. And because it was said in those days you could not defeat the king, eventually he fled back to the colonies. Otherwise, he may have been hung, drawn, and quartered. But anyway, he's our hero locally, and he achieved an enormous amount outside politics as well. He was not just a politician. He was an adventurer, but also an inventor. He invented the single-span bridge. He invented the smokeless candle. And he had a hand in building the first heavier than water ship. On top of that, if he had been looking at automobiles rather than boats, he would have invented the first internal combustion engine. In other words, he would have invented the car. As it was, he invented it for boats. So motorboats were an invention of Tom Paine. A remarkable man. Not particularly pleasant to be with, apparently, according to history. But nonetheless, one has to pay obeisance to him for the remarkable things that he achieved. And one of the things that is coming up pretty soon in the States is, and we're not very far away from it, is Thanksgiving Day, when traditionally the Pilgrim Fathers discovered Turkey. And ever since, the Americans have taken it as a day's holiday and a day of feasting, and thanks for all the plentiful things that were found on the North American continent, including what we didn't have here, the turkey. And so I'm going to play this morning, which was done for a couple of Thanksgivings past, a little program in which Connor Conti is the son of our correspondent Melissa Conti, who appears every Friday, and he did a little bit of cooking, including a turkey, and we thought we would show you his efforts because soon millions of people will be cooking turkeys, and Connor, did he cook a turkey or not? Well, he's a very bright boy and is not seen on our screens anymore simply because he is now working for the major Japanese network, NHK. And on top of that, he is joining at the end of this year the Marines and will learn to fly faster than sound aeroplanes. He is some achiever. But here he is in the kitchen. I think we need to see him in the kitchen. Yes, that's. Well, there's nothing more than I like in a bit of turkey. And the Americans celebrate, and it's a big celebration, Thanksgiving on the 25th of November. And that's coming up. We're playing this a day ahead, but everybody will be enjoying themselves tomorrow. And it's a public holiday and lots of feasting and drinking. And of course, it's all to do with when they actually harvested in the times of the Pilgrim Fathers, who were saying thank you to God for all the bountiful things that seem to be there, including turkey. But not everybody in the United States now celebrates with turkey. In fact, our man Connor Winton, who is a correspondent in New York, or one of our correspondents, has his own idea about what makes a good Thanksgiving, and it's nothing to do with turkey. So let's take a look.
Hi, I'm Connor, and I'm coming to you from New York, USA, here to teach you about some American Thanksgiving classics, green bean casserole and stuffing. Alright, so now we're going to be making some green bean casserole, another Thanksgiving classic. Right here, we got ourselves some nice parboiled green beans and a little bit of salted water, right? And classic what goes with this green bean casserole is a cream of mushroom soup. We've got our quarter mushrooms out here alongside some butter and some garlic. Alright, so as the mushrooms are frying up here, nice and good, We're gonna add a little bit of flour to that, but while we're doing that, we're gonna be frying up some onions to put on top. There's a little deep frying, a little bit of oil. Give it 5-10 minutes, and nice and golden brown. I'll put them on top. All right, so we put some flour into the mushrooms here. See, all-purpose flour here. Combine a little bit of fond, a little bit of stuff on the bottom. And what we're doing here is we're essentially making a roux. You know, the roux is a combination of fat and flour. It's gonna thicken up our soup, sort of nice and well. So I'm going to glaze with a little bit of red wine vinegar, just to give it a little bit of bite. Don't want it to be too flat. And of course, we're going to add in our vegetable stock, because we're making this in a vegetarian way. Sure, the heat comes up. So add a little bit at a time here. See, it's turning nice and deliciously thick and tasty. We got the flour in there. And now we're going to add our half and half. Alright, so we're going to add a bay leaf or a bay laurel here. And a little bit of freshly grated nutmeg. You really got to use the stuff that's fresh grated. I know it's a fad. I know people are saying whatever about it, but please, it's so much better. Our cream mushroom soup. We're going to put this right over our delicious green beans, nice and healthy. We're just going to mix that right on up. We got all that wonderful sauce. Mix that up. Give that a thorough mixing. Give that a thorough mixing. Thorough is how Americans say thorough. Some Americans. Anyway. Alright, so we got our fried onions, and we're just going to put those right on top. That nice and brown and golden. Wonderful flavors. This is really like a key element of Thanksgiving for a lot of folks. You know, this is the sort of steals the show a lot of times. Having this as a kid, that's the best part of it. Crispy little onions on top, salted, pretty special. Oh yeah, go. All right, so we got our lovely green bean casserole right here. We're just gonna let this cool down until it's at a nice serving temperature. Well, I hope you enjoyed these recipes. As you can see, we have a wonderful green bean casserole and delicious stuffing.
Looks great, Connor. And thanks. And I join you for Thanksgiving this year for having a bit of turkey. I'm so traditional. Well, some things never change. It's I'm happy to say that the support staff are here, and we're actually testing the beer to make sure that it's palatable to the guests as they pour in through the front door of the hotel this morning after we've packed up our gear and gone away. It is okay, I assure you. I'm privileged to have a drink this morning before most people know that the sun is over the yard arm. So there we are. I managed to get myself in all our glory. So we are back, and we're getting a decent picture now. And so now it's up to us as to what we do with that picture to keep you amused and entertained. We've been assembling a pretty good crew, and I hope that we'll find that they are as thrilled about the whole thing as I am. I know they are. Otherwise, they wouldn't be part of this outfit. It's a ragtag and bobtail. My golly, do we punch above our weight? Absolutely, we do. Yes. Uh, uh, trying our best to see what we can deliver for you. Now, is what other things have we got? Do you know one of the things that we always forget, and it's and we get kicked for it, and we try hard not to forget it. But just down the road is a major port, and it is said to be neglected. Well, it shouldn't be. So let's just take a look at New Haven. Well, there we are. It's a nice little port, really. It is most people see it as a miserable, dirty, rotten town, but I lived there for 3 months 2 years ago, and got to know it a little bit. And actually, yeah, it is. All ports are really a bit grotty because of the nature of the beast. There's lots of freight that goes through. It's got cars coming in and off ferries 2 or 3 times a day. But New Haven has a particularly glorious past. First of all, it struggled to be the number one port on the south coast, and then of course it isn't anymore. But it's always been, particularly during the 100 Years' War when we were fighting the French or the Normans, and it really was a key town in that. But particularly when it comes to war and France, it was the jumping off point for the Canadian force that in 1942 we sent to test, if you like, the vulnerability of the German defenses preceding D-Day. And it was a Canadian force, and it was virtually wiped out. Those that weren't killed, and there was a large number, were taken prisoner. And my wife, who was a Canadian, my late wife, who was a Canadian, we would say to me, "Can we go down there? I want to look at the Canadian flag," which flutters in the tiny little park at the entrance of the town. And she was mightily proud of her nation's contribution to the Second World War. And in fact, she lost some relatives in that raid. And I don't think that we pay enough attention to that part of its history. In the First World War, because we weren't allowed, or at least the Chinese, who were our allies, were not allowed to send soldiers, they sent a large number of manual laborers to help with the port. And therefore, there was a large Chinese community there. It made a significant impact on the town. And apparently, they were very, very well thought of and were very well respected and made a real contribution. And now it has become the one of the centres, anyway, of the district council, and is giving a focus to the modern day port. One story I like is that until the 1960s, there was a major hotel at Dockside, a major hotel, very popular with people. But one of the people that actually stayed there was the man who broke the bank at Monte Carlo. And if you'll forgive me, of course, there was a music hall song, The Man Who Broke the Bank at Monte Carlo. Well, he existed, and he used to stay there until he ran out of money, and he'd go back and break the bank again. And then he would come back and live the life of Riley. It is a wonderful story. So New Haven is in many, many ways, it's many different people, is an interesting and thriving community. And certainly is a major port today. If you want to go to France, you go to Dieppe, which is another very, very interesting little town. In fact, a very attractive town. And if you want lobster, go to Dieppe. If you want any seafood, actually. And one of the things that we're looking at covering is that in late November, it has one of the largest, if not the largest, scallop fairs anywhere in France. Certainly anywhere in Normandy. And scallops are just they're so delicious. So I hope we get the opportunity to do that. A lot of planning and so on. But we really need to get that act together now, because we've been through some rough times, and we're emerging, and we're going to emerge as a major media force on the South Coast, but also because of the strange approach we take to media, we're also going to be a little force in the United States. And now we're talking about doing one or two things in other parts of the world. And this is all out of this tiny little Mirador television based in Lewis. Well, it's great fun. It's great fun. And I hope that you'll enjoy being with us. Now, have we got anything else that we can regale you with this story in the video field? Because it's been a very, very a strange morning, one way or the other. And there it says, Mirador programs, it says. I wonder what it's got there. That's a personal one. We store everything. We don't throw anything away. And I can tell you what the weather was for Thursday, the 2nd of June 2019. That's how much stuff we actually keep. Now here's some air shots. Yeah, those are quite good, really. Well, there was no sound with that, of course, but it's interesting to see our town from the up above in the clouds, and it's it's a different view, is it not? It's a different view of Lewis. What else do we have? We're really taking a little trot through. Our store here, and I'm finding all sorts of stuff I didn't know we had at all. So this one's just a story. What on earth is that? Nothing in there. Nothing in there at all. Land of Hope and Glory. What on earth is that?
The Englishman. Peculiar breed, aren't we? We still have very quaint customs. I suppose that outside people see them as quaint. We see them as quite serious to the way that our society should operate. Hugh Grant, when he made the film Love Actually, gave a little speech at a press conference about what England was. I only paraphrase it, but he says something like, "We're only a small country, but we're a great country. The country of Shakespeare, of Harry Potter, of Churchill, of 007, and a whole host of other people, including David Beckham's right foot, David Beckham's left foot, come to that." And that's the sort of way, I suppose, that we see ourselves, is not in any power structure, but as being potty people from a potty little country, which punches well above its weight. First of all, of course, is the oddity is that we still have what we call English gentlemen. And if you want to define what an English gentleman is, for instance, no English gentleman will ever be seen dead with a tie that matches his kerchief at the top of his pocket. They shouldn't look the same. And yet you will find in the stores that they sell packages of ties and kerchiefs that are exactly the same colour. Well, you're not an English gentleman if you're wearing a tie that matches your bougoutier. In the gentlemen's clubs, it's rather amusing because also, when it comes to sartorial splendour, that the most wonderful suits, pinstripe, blue stripe, any stripe, are worn. But the gentleman does not wear a pair of socks that matches. The higher you are, normally it's red socks. A little more, and I have a challenge with a peer of the realm to see who can outdo each other with socks that look something like this. Striped socks. So far, I'm beating him. I've got a better stripes than he has. But that's the way that the Englishman will dress, and will be very careful about it. There are other oddities. I mentioned the gentlemen's clubs. The other evening, sitting in the cocktail bar, two people who were new or strangers shook hands, and suddenly there was a frozen silence. Do not shake hands in the cocktail bar of the club. And by the same token, in the evening, you don't come in if you're not in a suit. Oh my goodness me, aren't we actually snobs? No, we're not. We just enjoy all these peculiarities. We enjoy reveling in them and don't think twice about them. From outside, there are a number of things which don't make sense, and I thought I might just run through one or two of these things to try and straighten you out. First of all, our form of government. It's a constitutional monarchy. So we have a queen as the head of state, but she has no power. The legislation is made by the House of Commons, which is an elected chamber. But it has to send any of its deliberations to the House of Lords, which is made up of peers, lords of the realm. And they can actually say to any legislation, no, no, no. When they said no the third time, it makes no difference. It goes back to the House of Commons, which then votes on it, and if government's got a large enough majority, it becomes law. No, it doesn't. It's got to go to the Queen, who has no power. But unless she says okay, given, as it's called, royal assent, it doesn't become law. No power, no legislation, unless she says that it's okay, that's fine. And talking of the Queen, of course, Buckingham Palace is where she resides normally, and outside there are guards in wonderful red tunics, marching up and down, stamping their feet, day in, day out, night in, night out, guarding the royal presence. And on their heads are black hats, known as bear skins. Although they're synthetic nowadays, they were made of the skins from bears in the past. Bear skins. But the Queen sent a memo to one of her aides the other day in which she mentioned that she would like some more bear skins ordered. He put it through the computer, and dear old algorithms or logarithms, whatever rhythms they are, sent it back as saying it was unacceptable because it was obscene. The Queen, bear skins, obscene. And those old logarithms certainly get involved in our daily life. In my hometown of Lewis, we have a war memorial that was cast and shaped in 1920. It's a beautiful piece of work. It has around the base 4 maidens. And the architect, the sculpture, designed them so that one of their breasts is barely covered. A colleague sent a piece of video showing the war memorial. It came back obscene. So there we are, bear skins, war memorials, all obscene. Would you believe it? But in Lewis, at the turn of the last century, in 1910 or so, the famous sculptor Rodin sent the Kiss, his statue of intertwined figures, which is, yes, it's slightly erotic. It wouldn't turn an eye nowadays. But in 1910, it was put in a shed for a little while. And when it was brought out, a local lady took one look at it. Actually, she didn't. She looked at it for 2 or 3 hours and then decided that nobody else should be defiled, that they shouldn't be corrupted by looking at this famous Rodin statue. And so she persuaded the council to put it back into the storeroom that it had been in and keep it there for another 10 years. And famous stories of how troops during the war went into the town hall and they had the statue of Rodin in there, and that a cloth was put over so that they wouldn't be too excited by this statue. Nowadays, I think probably people pass it by without a second glance. Telephone booths. Don't we have wonderful telephone booths? Everybody comes to London to see the red telephone booths, except sometimes we painted them black. Don't ask why we painted them black, but we did. And there are plenty of these phone booths that are red left, but they don't have any phones in them, because now we don't use that sort of phone. So the red telephone box stands there with no phone. And if you open the door to look where the phone used to be, the inside is plastered with Bertha invites you to visit her, or Maggie will make you happy, with email addresses. You can get hold of these unfortunate ladies who I'm sure are just welcoming tourists. But it's the way that they actually advertise it in a telephone booth is the amusing way of welcoming people to Britain from the ladies of the street or of the night. Oh dear, aren't we actually just a strange nation? Well, we are. And I suppose that the one thing that we really don't have much of is good trains. You get onto a train in Britain and it says it is going to Hayward Heath. Halfway there, it stops at Gatwick Airport. And all the passengers are told to get out, because for some weird reason, it is not allowed to go any further. No reason is given. You just can't go any further. So everybody piles out and is told to catch the next train to wherever they're going to. Hayward Heath, Brighton, wherever. Except there are no trains to this destinations. You stand on the platform and you wait and you wait and you wait. And there are no announcements, no nothing. The trains that go nowhere, only we in Britain could have them. We have a lot of peculiarities, and I will, over the coming weeks, just outline some of them to you. Because nonetheless, rural Britannia, we just love the way that we live. And we are almost like animals in a zoo. People come to stare at us and gaze at us. And we allow them to. And we stand there and we love it. Even though we would say, we're quite normal. What's wrong with them? No, we're not. We are eccentric, to say the least. Our airline, British Airways, absolutely wonderful. I got on a flight in Budapest a little while ago, fell asleep, and thought I was on the way to London, when in fact I was woken to hear the lady on the microphone saying, "Welcome to the Algarve." Algarve? That's in Portugal. Yes, he said cheerfully. We got into flight and the computer directed us to the Algarve. Sorry you're not in London, but here you are on the south coast of Portugal, which is warm and has sangria and all sorts of other things. Thank goodness that we're eccentric. Thank goodness that the computers that serve us are eccentric, because now I'm able to pop off to a Portuguese bar and have a wonderful time having a drink and lying in the sun. Mad dogs and Englishmen go out in the midday sun. Toodle pip.
I'd forgotten about that. Our idea of what we're like ourselves, and it's something I explore with Harry Atherton. And you travel well. He's just a traveller, really, a very entertaining, amusing bloke who comes on and lives in France and joins us every Monday and gives us a half hour of fun and games from his experiences around the world. And he's been to a huge number of countries, as indeed I have. So we're able to share a few experiences. But yes, mad dogs and Englishmen. Not only do we go out in the midday sun, but we do all sorts of other odd, exciting things that give us a bit of a lift. And we we get ourselves into knickers into a bit of a twist. Let's see. I got something here that says "Unseen Lewis." Don't know what that is. Let's take a look, shall we? I know what this is. It's rather good. I think.
Hello from sunny Lewes, East Sussex. What I'm going to read you now is a statement from Lewes Town Council on its position in the present circumstances, and it was issued this morning, 25th March. With regret, Lewes Town Council has closed Lewes Town Hall and the All Saints Centre and cancelled meetings to assist in minimising risks to health in the present emergency. The buildings have a role in the civil emergency plan for East Sussex and will remain available should they be needed for that. Following government advice for everyone to stay at home and to limit all personal contact and non-essential journeys, staff are working from home where possible. The Town Council is restricted to basic operations. Councillors have been assisting community groups and individuals in their home areas wherever possible, but are following the guidance on protecting themselves and their community, staying at home unless absolutely necessary, and urge everyone to do the same. Emergency measures are in place to take decisions using email, and councillors have set aside £15,000 that was originally intended to increase the fund available through the year for small grants, and will use this to support the needs of groups helping the community during the emergency, such as local food banks, if they need extra help. Details on how to apply will shortly be sent out to organisations. And will be posted on the Town Council website. The Council can be contacted in the following ways: via its website, lewis-tc.gov.uk, or via emails to info@lewis-tc.gov.uk. Telephone messages may be left on 01273 471469, or if urgent, you may telephone 07795 573 503. Calls may not be answered, but messages will be regularly checked. Thank you for your patience and understanding during these difficult times. Please adhere fully to the government's advice and stay safe and well. All our councillors and staff wish everyone the very best during this difficult time. Now, there follows a bit of useful information which I will give you. Lewes coronavirus volunteers. They need help or they offer help. It's available on Facebook, Lewes Coronavirus Volunteers, or 07742 211075, or 07853 946 524. There is also the NHS helpline, nhs.uk/coronavirus, or if you cannot get help online, dial 111. Frequently asked questions are at https:// public health matters, one word, .blog.gov.uk/. That's it. The Town Council had issued this press release this morning, and I hope you find it interesting. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Lest we forget. Oh, lest we forget. Oh, there we go. Lest we forget. That was only 2 years ago, 3 years ago. And those are the sort of warnings that we had to have. And God bless the late Stephen Catlin, who would pick up on these things and make sure that our populace, our electorate, were aware of them. Now it's almost in time to say goodbye. Let's see if there's anything else that we might. Rosie Hayes, who is one of our correspondents. Here we go. Is with her striped house. Here we go.
Property developer in South Kensington, London, was given permission to build a basement underneath the house with a gym and a swimming pool. The neighbours totally rejected the idea and took her to court. She retaliated by painting the front of the house with big red stripes. This is the story of the candy striped house. Rosie Hayes, Your News UK TV.
There you go. That's crazy, eccentric English. I think that's enough for today. But just a reminder that we will not be in the White Hart tomorrow. We'll be in Cleve Down, which is a sheltered housing complex on the edge of Lewes. We'll be broadcasting from there in case any of the residents are interested in taking a look at what we do. But if not, it is just a change of scenery for us, and we can enjoy ourselves. So that's it for today. Thank you for bearing with me while we tried to get a better picture for you. And it looks as if at long last we've succeeded. At long last we've succeeded. Let's cross our fingers and hope that we have. So for now, this is Mr. Keith Hayes, saying toodle pip, and we will try to be with you tomorrow all in one piece instead of the silly pieces that we were today. But till then, ta-ra.